Hey, this is Hex from the Overwatch League. This is In My Sights, and today is a very special episode. We're going to take a look at Philadelphia Fusion damage extraordinaire Carpe. Congratulations to Carpe for becoming the first player in Overwatch League history with 4,000 final blows. What a monumental achievement. It's an achievement that he accomplished on the hero of Torbjörn, and fittingly enough, we're going to take a look at some of his Torb here today as we are on Dorado against the Paris Eternal. Philadelphia Fusion trying to come back in a reverse sweep in this scenario. So on defense, we're going to have even more of the Torb action from Carpe. Things you want to do with Torb: deny space with the turret, kill the immortality field of the other team and their turret and put some pressure on, and also deny space with the ultimate. A lot about denying space. Torb used to be classified as a defensive hero. Now we see him in all sorts of roles, offense and defense. Right away, just pulled off of the top. The wall comes down, and this is complete chaos. But both teams have immortality fields down, and Carpe can't retreat here. You got to stay in the fight and just hope it comes out. He gets one kill, he gets two kills, and now he feels like his team has the advantage. Gonna push the pressure here with a third kill. Goes overload, increases the rate of fire, cleans that one up. What was a bad situation was covered up by his rest of his team dropping down, everyone using all of their abilities and staying alive. So now they've had to give up top position though, but Courtyard is just fine on the defense for Dorado. Just getting damage in here on the shields as much as he can. Trying to back up, always staying safe. You want to stay alive as the Torb. Trying to find a place to set down his turret, and that's where it's going to be. Keep an eye on where the turret goes and where Torb often is playing from are two different angles. You want your turret to be a distraction and be kind of the 6.5 man in a fight. Playing around, double shield here, left and right. They're not real certain where Paris is going to try to push from. But in a moment here, Paris is going to get real aggressive, and the wall doesn't stop everybody. Falls back though, hits the overload. Carpe still barely alive. And this staying alive allows this blizzard to come out, and now it's just cleaning up headshots. Gonna charge up the molten core. Gets a couple on his way out as well, and Carpe already crushing in final blows. That's gonna be a team kill with 2.5 minutes left for the Paris Eternal for their next push. Carpe is going to have Molten Core, and it's one of the more unique ultimates in the game, able to spread it out over a wide area. You can create multiple different pools, but generally on payload maps, you're going to put it around the cart, whether you're pushing or whether you're defending, especially if you're defending. So he's just going to try to stay alive and take high ground here. Takes a lot of damage early though. Going to have to overload. There's the core. Puts it everywhere, but Paris has the blizzard going on from Nico, and they're going to get a couple of kills. Carpe goes down. This is back and forth. Carpe gets a posthumous kill as Nico will fall to the molten core, which just sits around the cart in those pools, but soon on the Torb action, going to clean it up. Pay attention here to not using overload. A lot of times people will instinctively use overload on the rollouts, and sometimes it's the right choice. It gives you a little bit of speed boost, but he knows that his team is not going to be in any position to fight anytime soon. He died early, people died late, so there's no need to try to get anywhere quickly. They're going to wait to regroup and just hold this point. There's not really much other angle to take. Even over top is not really a great angle, and it puts you more at risk. Carpe, even though he's on a Torb, he's got to check for flankers. It's almost always damages to check for flankers. He's got an escape in his overload if he needs it. He's now just putting down as much damage as possible anywhere, trying to hit a combination with the Halt, but the Halt does not end up hitting the Orisa. Teams just both milling around, maybe looking for a turret spot there, doesn't find it, and he's not behind the shield, so he gets pulled down. All the overload in the world is not going to save him. Eternal sees this as a great opportunity. They're going to drop down the supercharger, try to clean up kills, and this is where you use your overload to get back quickly. A little bit of speed boost doesn't seem like much, but now he's going to be in a position to fight much quicker than before. Try to prevent this. Turret will go up top here. And now it gives you the information that they're coming through doorway. So that turret's going to go down almost immediately. Now Carpe's alone. His team is just covering over the top of the stairs. So Carpe's okay. Interesting how he treats the rails here. Kill the ones behind you. You don't want those blocking your shots. But the ones in front of him will stay up. And it's actually kind of interesting what he does here. He'll use those for the verticality, gets a little better angle over the top, maybe some shields, but also if the other team's trying to shoot him, they might end up blocking it, so he keeps those alive, uses them to his advantage. It's a very small thing, but you know, those small things add up. Gets him the height to get the turret over the top, covering that off angle. And the core is going to come in from the other side. A great transcendence, though, keeps his team alive. And the Rivet Gun does so much damage if you actually hit headshots. You saw there also Carpe prioritizing getting the immortality field down, the lamp as some refer to it. And with his high rate of fire and high damage and distance damage, he's going to be really good at taking down those little objects in the arena. Trades out with FD God, but his team has stabilized because Fury comes alive. Really good to see Fury back up the Philadelphia Fusion lineup. Played all this weekend. He's been a mainstay at off-tank throughout his entire career, even before the Overwatch League. So now Fusion is in a good spot here. Everyone used a ton of ultimates. Carpe gonna drop down that turret where he's not going to be. Very rarely will you see a Torb and his turret together. It's gonna cover his angle while he wants to rotate to the far side here. Nearing Molten Core, really important on these payload points. So look, his turret, far left, where he up top. Not only is it gonna cover an angle, it's gonna give him information. Okay, they're below us, stairs. Information is how you win fights in Overwatch. They're able to rotate out of that quickly. Carpe could throw in the Molten Core up top. Just gonna play it patiently. And now with the Shatter, the core is gonna come all the way around the cart. Carpe is able to skirt the edge of this blizzard. Kind of negates it though, because they don't want to hang out in the core. And look at these shots. These aren't kills, but he hits one on Mei, he hits one on Tracer, and that's enough to send them packing. Well, maybe not Tracer. Stays a little too long here. Tracer, Torb always looks like a good target because he's pretty much just a head on legs, but there's 5 other guys in the team. Soon's unable to account for that, and Ivy comes in and takes him out. 30 seconds left. You have to account for this as the final fight. Gonna have 2 tank ultimates, another good turret spot. Carpe's just gonna check for information. Where are they coming from? Sees the Tracer down there. Sees the rest of the team top left, so now he's got the information he needs. The overload is probably just to get back behind shields quickly and to start putting as much damage in as possible. Make sure he doesn't get picked off. He got yoinked off high ground earlier, and now he learned his lesson. Uses the overload just for the speed. Pretty hard to hit a Tracer from that angle, but he's going to move a little bit left here, drop the turret. The turret can deal with the Tracer, and now he's in a perfect spot. Up top, no one's looking at him, just trying to get a ton of damage in. This is his final fight. Another great Transcendence. The supports from Philly don't get enough credit. Well, maybe they do, but they should still get more. Getting the immortality field down again so that Orisa dies on impact. The turret will clean it up. Goodbye, Nico. Goodbye, Paris Eternal. The Torb masterfully played on defense by Carpe and the Philadelphia Fusion. Use it as a distraction, covers the off angles, uses overload intelligently, gets value out of Molten Core. Paris won a couple fights where they were able to bum rush through and use ultimates, but for the most part, Torb stayed alive the entire time, a constant nuisance, a constant distraction. And I mentioned that Torb was often used as a defensive hero. There was a time in Overwatch where damage heroes were classified as defense or offense, and obviously with a turret you'd think he'd be a defensive hero. But lately in the Overwatch League meta, we've seen a shift where teams will run Torb on offense and defense. His utility's just that good, he puts out a ton of damage, the turret can be really irritating, and it's a distraction. The thing about the turret is shooting at it is time that you're not shooting at something else. So always trying to cover off angles with it. It can be a little more difficult, as we'll see on offense, to get set up properly on the Torb. Dorado, I mean, it's an interesting choice. I'm not one to doubt Carpe though. He must have his reasons why. Trying to match shield crack, you can get a lot of damage in, and if you can get through the archway and set up, you're pretty good, but it's a big burden to try to get through the archway offensively on Dorado, no matter what your composition. Paris, interestingly enough, is going to run a Widowmaker on defense. It's a very good map for it. So Carpe is just going to find out what the other team is running and try to pick out which angle he wants to try to take as this Torb. Obviously, you're going to be at the disadvantage. The other Torb's going to have natural high ground as the defenders. So we see right away, just kind of poking at it. He takes a shot real quick though, so he's going to play very passively. Just peeks, shields up, get the overload going in, try to do as much damage as possible. That turret's to prevent any sort of push in, so if they get really pushed on, they can back up and the turret can help out in the fight. Also will cover up top for him while he's looking. A nice halt, but they don't combo it. Now the turret is going to be behind the wall when it comes back down. And it's just, the overload is a lot like Storm Arrow, and you're just going to pop it to try to get as much damage in a burst as possible. Also gives you a little speed and survivability. You see Carpe is trying to find an angle. Maybe you get up through the bridge up here. Sees that his opponents have spotted him out. It buys a little bit of space for his team to take up top, though. They're still playing very passively because they don't know where this Widow is. You have to avoid sight lines. Even right there is a little bit dangerous. So that's why Carpe is going to come over here. This is going to keep him completely out of Widow sight lines, but he can still get things done with the Rivet Gun. He's just going to hold this angle. If there's a shield, fine. If there's a person, fine. He's just going to start shooting at it. One of the rare times he's in front of his turret, and there you see why they both end up taking a fire strike. Soon gets a nice kill on a boombox, and that might just spell the end of it. Carpe's turret will go down up top. The wall doesn't cut anyone up, so they're just going to back out a little bit. They can't really do much without boombox. It's just not enough healing with just alarm out there. Yeah, we've seen how Carpe treats railings and other destructible objects. In most of the VODs I've seen, actually, you don't see people destroy as many objects as Carpe does just out of fun. He's a force of destruction. He can't be stopped, even if there's no players on the screen. Same angle as before. A very, very early amplification matrix from Gray. And Philadelphia is just going to wait this one out. There's no reason to try to push into it. Carpe is going to get a little bit of push. He gets halted. Overload immediately comes out. He's trying to get out. And maybe that's why he tries to destroy everything on the map so that he doesn't get caught on a cactus. Unfortunate. But you see, this Torb has really gotten very little done. His team's never been able to open up the space for him to get anything done. And that last death is the straw that broke the Torbjörn's back. And he will go to Hanzo here because the angles aren't presenting themselves to him, so he's going to have to make his own angles. On Hanzo, it's all about flanks and distractions because it's superior mobility. Storm arrows and dragon work really well with the halts with Orisa. As soon as the halt comes in, you just kind of fire a volley in. And then the last thing you want to do as a Hanzo, just hit shots. Just hit shots. Connect arrows with brain pans. It's easy. Just hit shots. Yep. Don't like that railing either. Not much of that railing. He's just buying time. Kind of a little distracted there. He doesn't know that that's going to be happening. And this is the go button. You see, Philadelphia is going to open with Transcendence. There's Blizzard, there's Supercharger, and Carpe up over the wall. You used to see Genji take that flank a lot, but his brother just as good at climbing over the walls behind the team, and that's just easy picking. That's shooting fish in a barrel. Carpe avenging all his fish brethren, shooting the opposing team in the back. And they have to win this fight. Fusion are going to come in here with only an amplification matrix. Eternal doesn't have anything either. See, right away, the immortality field falls. Trying to find more angles. We'll take these tops. And this is just easy for Carpe. Everyone's low. He's going to stay up top here. Puts one arrow into Lucio. And that means Lucio can't really duel anymore. Everyone else is down. And nice little flick shot here to end it up. It's not always about the kills, and we saw it on Torb. Putting one damage into somebody just reconfigures their entire plan. Everybody has a plan until they get shot in the face. It seems like Carpe is just putting them to the test here. They want to keep those going. This is a great spot on Dorado's second for mobile heroes, mobile DPS heroes. Carpe does this a lot. I think it's a really cool little tech. You know, seems basic, but a lot of people would just peek around that corner. Instead, he makes himself a much more difficult target. Sonic Arrow is such a good ability. All the information in the world knows exactly where that team is. Gonna be checking and making sure that Tracer's not coming around. He sees that his Zen is firing volleys over there, so maybe somebody back there. The arrow's just gonna create space. Dragon comes through, splits them up entirely, distracts soon, and the shot over top. Look at me, I am the high ground now. Gets in, there's a Lucio boop to send him skyward. Another good arrow. This May is going to get shot a couple times, and there's really no one to contest up here. Carpe is just going to drop down Immortality Field, and there it is. The halt into Storm Arrow. So much damage, cracking shields. And I love, this is what Carpe does I find so interesting. He will go and lunge at people. If they don't know where you're going, then you're in the better position. You know where you're going to head up on that lunge. They don't. No one's expecting you to lunge straight forward at him. Carpe does it several times. And he does it for a couple reasons. We'll see it towards the end of the fight. But this is what makes Carpe so great. Carpe might be the best overall damage player in the league because he plays everything. He knows Tracer wants to be there because he's a great Tracer. Checks it right away, Sonic Arrow there, make sure that Soon can't get anything done. Moves his angle just a little bit here. as his team goes up top. And that's the lunge forward. The lunge forward makes your target a little easier to hit. They're a little bigger on your screen, changes the hitboxes, and he just confirms the kill. And this is the third thing you want to do when you're Hanzo, just hit shots. Another aggressive lunge forward, and that does two things. It makes Gray an easier target, but it also puts him below Gray so that Gray can't hit it. Gets another headshot on Asun, and this is just, there's no analysis here, it's just Carpe. It's just Carpe doing what he does. A phenom. Nico's gonna come in, Carpe just does a little bit of damage, divides his attention. That's just a casual 15-player streak. Sees that there's a shield up, so gonna change his angle. Up top over here, just looking for everything. Trying to get Soon just to flex on him. Lunges forward, sees that Soon is out of there. Never wasted movement. Couple of arrows here, couple of arrows there. Not wasted. FD God goes down yet again. The cleanup's here. How about one more Doomfist for good measure? Storm arrow's pretty good. Ryan's gonna come in here for Shatter. It's desperation time. This one's been over for a bit. The supports again, keeping everybody alive for Philly. And then Carpe rewarding them. Hit shots. Can't get the Lucio on the way out. But that's Carpe. Mr. 4K final blows. Does the defense on the Torb, does the offense on the Hanzo. Some of it you can't teach, but does a lot of interesting tactics. That's in my sights. That's Carpe. That's the best damage player in the Overwatch League.